out of 7:30, where the show will start.
Very cool.
Mr. David, thank you very much for coming in, and
Thank
thank you
you.
very much for taking the time to come to share your experience with the people of Colorado. And let me
That's
introduce you for now. Mr. David is candidate, is a stroke survivor, father of one beautiful girl who has been basically the cornerstone of his life. Mr. David is a very courageous person because anyone will know having experienced stroke, the recovery can be a challenge. Despite all those setbacks in life, Mr. David is standing for people. He's standing for the state. He's standing for the Palestinian people, which is one of his cause.
indeed.
He's a person with rightness. So tonight, the W28 will be sharing 50 minutes. Every second of that minute will count to talk about SNAP, the SNAP crisis. Being a stroke survivor, being a father, very close, the only hope for that daughter. Mr. David also is a SNAP recipient. Thank you, Mr. David, for coming to the show.
Dr. Bamba, thank you so much. This is an amazing opportunity you've allowed me yet again. And yes, my little angel, she is truthfully she's given me life, is the way I put it, and reason and purpose to continue instead of just say it's no longer worth trying. This whole SNAP crisis as it's being regarded, I don't want it to be about me, number one, when we have so many people right now that are not nearly as capable of getting through it as I am. I consider myself in great fortune. I have a child that gives me the greatest fortune of life, but her and I were even able to scrounge it and scratch it up to get a pumpkin and get that carved tonight. But it's more important. Yes. Oh,
It's very good.
okay.
So we
For
will start with the first question with this 15 minutes, what we call the one-on-one talk.
well, what it's
Is your
important.
first impression? What is your first impression or your first comment on this decision not to receive a SNAP benefit
Well,
next
it's a
month
setup.
basically in the 24 hours?
What this is when we have egg producers that last year made 3 to 7 times profit in our state, and yet put the clinch down on our local businesses and restaurants and all the consumers. What we're witnessing is actually inflation. We're watching a setup, a plan that's been in design. I've been telling people for a long time, you'd better wake up and look at your food pantries. They're running out of food. Over there at Twin Parish, they have gone from being allowed to go in, I experienced this personally, to go twice a month to cutting it back to you can only go once a month. Wellpower. Behavioral Health Association, for some reason, decided this year they weren't going to give them a $5 million grant. So, sort of like the Food Bank of the Rockies decided, well, we're just going to give up preemptively and warn the farmers we're not going to be able to get your crops this year. And instead of like doing what we can to keep the crops coming in because of fresh fruit and vegetables, the prices, no one to do the work, and we got ice scaring people out of the agricultural fields. We've got the crises. You see, this is a design. We've got urban medical centers and fire departments and all the emergency services which are suffering and in crisis are being overlooked and put on ballots to be compared with overspending on things like gentrification and skateboard parks and all these sorts of things. Are we going to take care of the things that are really important, like foundation issues, on the ballot with gentrification and excessive spending and what the nasty taste in our mouths is we're having to vote for these issues, LL and MM. And I tell you this, doctor, this is by design by the corporations who keep us going like this at each other, left and right, spectrally divided, instead of realizing this is a situation where the rich, the oligarchs, and these people are putting us in a position on purpose. You see, when you have, the truth is, the agricultural USDA has 5.6 billion. Excuse my daughter, she's not feeling well tonight. She just got ill, so I'm way distracted. But nonetheless, $5 to $6 billion on the USDA that is being withheld, and no politician, no media are really bringing this to the surface. They'd rather keep us all distracted on some issue of, well, it's just not available. Here's what we need to do. And they're telling people, well, we're doing this and this and this, and it's all just cover story. They've made it a political issue, which I'm not willing to do. This is about people going to Epworth Foundation, the Methodist Church here in the inner city of Denver, and all across Colorado and the country. But in Denver right now, there's a foundation called the Daddy Bruce Foundation that provides turkeys every November for families. They are $112,000 short in what they're able to provide this year, and that's put them about 1,000 or more turkeys short at last I was able to see. So what does that mean? It means that if the governor or any of these politicians, let's say Chicken Looper, who just made $300,000 on the stock market, according to one of our candidates for Senate, Breslin, who I'm all behind. I'm telling you, she's great. But nonetheless, what's happening is she is pointing out he made $300,000 on the stock market. That would really help Epworth Foundation Methodist Church provide the remaining turkeys that they've been able to provide the community every year. But this year, all our food banks are short. Every resource centers are shut. Every resource center can barely keep up. And I've been telling people, please pay attention, pay attention. But now it's a political issue to divide us. You got the Democrats saying, oh, it's the Republicans. And you got the Republicans, oh, it's their fault, it's their fault. We're sick of this. It's perpetuating this two-party bull thing where people have been bound into believing, well, this is a ballot issue, for instance. Yes, on 2A through 2A. Well, if you are a conservative, you're going to vote no. If you're liberal, you're going to vote yes. More of this divisive BS. They blind and blur the fact that you're spending money on garbage like electronic doors at the museum to make it easier to go inside, like it's not easy enough. And then on the same issue, whether or not we're going to help animals, which are being abandoned at a higher rate because people's poverty, and we are stuck in the middle. It's not about whether or not I have an empty refrigerator next week. You see, I have a picture on my platform where I literally open my fridge and I think to myself, what is it like as a parent to go, I can't eat? Why? Because then I won't be able to feed my baby. If I eat, so I have to eat whatever I can scrounge out of a can, maybe some things from the food pantries. Okay, and whatever you get from the food pantries, believe me, Twin Parish is a wonderful foundation that provides, and has for years, has cut their services down to once a month, and what they're able to provide is really hard. It's not fresh. Let me say, they do the best they can. But when you get home the other day, I went about a month ago, and when I got home, the yogurt, I opened it up, and it was so rank that the whole kitchen, I had to take the trash out. But the only thing I was able to eat, I can't remember. It was one thing I was hungry. It's those of us who are at the very bare minimum, people don't realize that those of us who have been clinging to the strings that have been suddenly pulled away, we have relied on these sources. So as everybody's going to go out there and say, well, in panic, I need to go to the food bank. I need to go in ways, and the resources go to, they need to ask themselves first, can I make it without that? Second, anybody who is of any ability to help needs to check their pantries now, get that food out to the churches. Demand your churches participate. Stop just saying well, what are we going to do? Demand your employers act. Demand our corporations start to provide the essentials like butter, That's what food pantries don't give us. The essentials like flour, butter, the basic things that you have to cook, you know. And so when we don't have those, and yes, we learn to stretch meals, make your own from scratch desserts. I don't feed her the garbage, my daughter. I feed her things from scratch. Forgive me, I will rail on, but these are the important things. As I say, we're being told to look at each other, but it's our urban centers, forgive me, where we have no medical in this, in the, you see, on the ballot issue, and forgive me again, my brain, I'm exhausted. When the sun goes down, this broken brain, it struggles. That's why I'm on SNAP. You see, I don't want to be on SNAP. It's that they rolled me down out of a hospital one day in a wheelchair, and they said, good luck. And I had never gone through such. They told me, you don't have enough IRS credits, SSI credits, to get SSDI, despite the fact my left arm did not function in any manner. I went to a website on YouTube, Dr. Tobias, a therapist, who I'll always say, if you ever have a stroke, look her up. She'll save your mind and your heart, your arm. Nonetheless, God saw it grace that I have a left arm. Doctor, I could, rail on, but what people have got to do first is call your food bank.
Ms. David, if the people of Colorado was
call their food bank,
despite everything you're going through, let's say Mr. David should be the governor, what would you do different?
What will I do? Number one,
despite all the difficulty you're going through, and let's
so
say
easy.
He's a sincere person, a sincere leader.
You see, these things are very easy.
Governor, what you will do now?
And if I were governor today, number one, we're okay. Well, first of all, we've got to fill those food banks. We've got to what we must do is make sure there are going to be at least a minimum of funds that people can afford at least a week of groceries. Those basic needs we can put on those SNAP cards, small level amounts. I'm sure, right? We can make sure, but that would be immediate, as if I had that ability today. But it was before. Okay, we've got to get this inequality of wealth and address it. It's more than just a progressive tax, like saying LL and MM lands upon those making 300,000 and more. Why would anybody making less be dumb enough not to vote for that? These are school lunches for children, for Pete's sake. Anybody who doesn't understand that the 300,000 or more class are the ones who are going to be helping the poorer children eat lunch. And what is their reasoning behind saying, vote no? It might create waste. It's like, are you that selfish and greedy?
There is in Colorado, we have 600,000 people. That's 10%, which means 1 out of every 10 Coloradians have to use SNAP to make a living.
Right.
To have a food on the table, quality food on the table. How you will fix? How you will support the program in Colorado?
Number one, we stopped funding occupation and genocide. Number one, did you know Colorado itself is sending about $350 million annually towards occupation and genocide against Gaza today, and we're still sending. But Denver, Colorado is sending, if my numbers are coming through correctly, people can look it up. It's on notmytaxdollars.org. You'll find out exactly how much Denver is blowing towards genocide and occupation, how much Michael Bennett and AIPAC are funding and funneling money out of Colorado, how much those technocrats like Stan Kroenke, owner of Ballerina, and his wife Ann Walton, owner of Bronco Stadium, are making on hand over fist. These people could solve it, and Elon Musk and that sort, if we simply would put them in charge of paying back. You see that these technocrats, the oligarchs, what they're doing is they're trying to make us as poor and as dependent upon them. They're trying to spark people into riots, honestly. And when people do that, they can start to justify this Trumpist ICE, which ICE needs to be incarcerated in their detention facilities. They're hiring the ID, they call themselves IDF, IOF, and they're hiring the most bigoted fascist people and putting them in police uniforms. And what they've done is, according to the U.S. Constitution, Article 3, Section 3, they've committed the very wording of treason. Article 3, Section 3 of the U.S. Constitution states that treason is to commit an act of these actions against American public and citizens, which is precisely what they have been doing. And therefore, why aren't the Democrats saying impeach, impeach? Or why aren't the Democrats and the Republicans saying anything about we got to get ahead of this landslide of poverty about to hit us because of this big fascist orange man? It's because they're benefiting. They're benefiting from their little AIPAC masters. They're benefiting from their funders. They're benefiting. And until we break that corporate financing, we stop that and people go truly understand that grassroots is at the bare minimum. We're about one another. You can't call yourself a patriot if you don't love the people of your country. Trump is not the epitome of America. Okay, my neighbors, my country folk, that's my country that I stand behind. And when they're suffering, I need to be there for them, not for the rich who want to build ballrooms and dance on our heads. When are people going to snap out of their heads out of their ass, playing the political spectral, I'm on this side, so I better believe this bullshit. And instead, the media is promoting this bull, this corporate, and they're being bought by people who say to them, well, I guess we'll just have to buy TikTok. Like Larry Ellison, we'll have to buy the media, we'll buy Scripps, we'll buy News Star, and next thing you know, the only thing in information, and some people are like, good, I love propaganda. Give me the lube. I love propaganda. So at what point do Americans become patriots or call themselves some sort of a faithful person of, say, Christian, and yet do not understand the message of the immigrant? Love thy neighbor. Well, who's our neighbor? They asked the Messiah, Jesus. He said, let me tell you the story of the Good Samaritan. Who's our neighbor? Was it the ones who walked past the man struggling, or was it the one from Samaria, from out of town, who came and stopped and took care of and made sure he was well? That was his neighbor. So until we return to belief and knowing that it's not about religions and colors of skins and gender specificities and all the like, it's about you and me realizing we matter more than these rich bad people that have exploited our labor. We take back the labor, I believe. I think instead of going on strike over at Kroger's, we need to give the CEOs of Kroger's a $1 severance check and say thank you, but you have acted in bad faith, just as the media corporations have. You've acted in its lack of public trust that you've breached. Therefore, by toxins and poisons that you've allowed into our diets and all this, and inflation of beef prices and all the right, and you're all of this, goodbye. Whoever's worked there the longest, the laborer, they gain the most interest. And from there forward, we begin to make a nation with small businesses regarded, and all these businesses going, the towers, Key Bank just got sold to a realtor company. All these towers, because our city and state officials are still working from home, I don't think COVID's real, happening right now, but they're still all working from home. Until people get back to work out from home, especially if you work for the city or the state or whatnot, you need to be back in your office and contributing to the smaller businesses, and we need to stop funding and boycott, divest, and sanction.
People should come back to work, basically what you say.
Yes.
People should come back to work.
Yes, get back to the offices. You see, they're working from home, man. Call the Secretary of State's office. I'm sure you and I have both experienced. I'm amazed I'm working from home. God bless them. They're actually very helpful. But get to the office. Why? Because the downtown on 16th Street Mall, they're trying to really build up. They're really not. You see, what Stan Kroenke hopes to do with Ballerina is an AI city, a little smart city. Turn Ballerina, he's already developing, and Walton wants to move Bronco Stadium, which happens to be in one of those most prosperous economic districts in the country right now, and just destroy that, break it all to pieces, and redevelop a whole new stadium. She says, I'll pay for it, but they're already talking about how the infrastructure is going to get built on the taxpayer's head. What about the businesses that don't really fit into the new community, or those that got to go, those that want to come in? You see, these billionaires are playing games on our heads. And the small businesses are getting, no wonder they're saying, well, I got to vote Republican because regulations. And I'm watching as they're developing streets. And as I say, in the hospitals, the fire, if they really cared, we wouldn't see more and more militarization of our policing. We would see more fire departments being supported. We'd see more, forgive me, my brain is clicking out on the language, but we need medical centers in our farming communities and in our, I'm saying urban communities.
That's very good insight here.
Okay.
From you.
Okay.
We have, I'll give you 2 more minutes because we went over, because it was very interesting, your sharing experience, which is very important here to speak directly to the people of Colorado and make sure they understand the real root suffering, which
Reach out.
come from you, people like you, and to share and your experience with them. So I'm going to ask you last one question.
Yes.
What life will be for you in November 1st? How life will be for you without the SNAP funding, the SNAP help?
I'll put it this way.
I want you to give me your insight in 2 minutes. And look in the face of a governor, the face of a mayor, the face of the senator, and just like you're in front of them, and say something. Say something to the people. Say something to the politician. Say something to this country.
It's simple. It's simple. We must reach out to our people that are hurting. Clear out your pantries, please. Put food. If you live in an apartment complex, what I do, I don't let anything. I live in housing, assisted housing, and I have no choice. You see, they've denied my SSI. I'll leave it at that. I have very limited time, and it's not about me. Check your pantries. Don't let anything go to waste. Put it out for your neighbors. Call them. Call your families. Call your elderly people you know, anyone, and lean into your community leaders and say, what are we doing right now down at the center of the park in whatever town we live in across Colorado? That's what's most important. On November 5th, what I'm going to be doing is simply this. Having lived through much of these things throughout many years beyond prior, okay? I have a past as rocky as the mountains, I say. I tell you, it's true. I've learned what it is to be resilient and to struggle and yet make through grace and understanding that this, as in Islam in regard, the sustainer, you see, I needn't be afraid in my tradition of Christian beliefs that it is as provided the animals and the grass and the living nature as I've seen. You see, it's people who make things horrible, like in Gaza. That's not because of a drought. That's people not providing food and medicine and water prior. You see, when the pagers were planted against Hezbollah long before October 7th, pagers. That's all like, okay, we set this, and now we're going to commit a greater Israel genocide, all this they're trying to do. people had better snap out. This has all been no coordinated situation. And the Gazan people in Gaza have been the front line of humanity for long enough. You see, that's a choice of starving people to death on purpose in disregarding the international courts and anyone who says, and in the tyrant of Donald Trump, you see, Jared Kushner, that's the real man behind the Emerald Curtain. I'm telling you truthfully. And Jared Kushner, when people realize what that man's spirit comes, I tell them this: if you are of any doctrine of faith, nonetheless, or none whatsoever, read 1 John, the book just before the book of Revelations. 1 John. I ask anyone to read when it says that hour is now, and in quantum reality we understand now is now, that we must care and look out for our brothers, which is you, my friend, which is what happens to us all, happens to my child, happens to us all. Unity and bridges. That's what we're here for, my friend.
Thank you very much, Mr. David Hughes. Thank you for the insight. Thank you for the passion. Thank you for the expression of the truth. Thank you for the grassroots speech. And this was a WT8 debate series. Meeting today with Mr. David Hughes, who is a candidate for governor 2026, and also a SRAC survivor, a SNAP recipient, a former teacher, a former entrepreneur. I thank you, sir, and good night.
Thank you, Doctor. I could not be more grateful for that opportunity. I appreciate you so much. Have a great night.